See, when you're having a bad day, you forget to do the small things, don't you? Rangers are out of the Scottish Cup. Not to a great game of football, not to a very good, not to a top team. That's not fair on Queen's Park. But Rangers are out of the Scottish Cup after being beat 1-0 at home against fifth in the Championship, Queen's Park. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. I defended this team to my detriment, to people actually having a go at me. And I was thinking to myself, people are just being reactionary. Yeah, we didn't really bring anybody in January, but look who we get out. Look at the youngsters we're bringing into the team. Give them 45 minutes, you take them off, and then you play worse. So look at that. No monologue today, folks. No long spouting, me shouting and screaming about how terrible Rangers are. I'm going to try my best to keep my cool today, but it's not going to be easy because that was atrocious. That was worse than what we have seen a lot of this season. And in Patrick Stewart's own words, it has to get better. Well, I'm watching that today and I'm thinking, Patrick, has it got better? I'm joined today, unfortunately for them, by Aaron and Kenny. Kenny, obviously you were on the watch along. So Aaron, mate, I'll just let you jump in. Before I do, why ask for this at this time? But if you enjoy the stream, please like and subscribe. Follow us across all socials, links in the description. Get your comments in. We've got quite a lot of people watching for obvious reasons, so I will try and get as many comments up as I can. Aaron, your thoughts, please, on Rangers crashing out of the Scottish Cup. The last trophy we had to go for, by the way, in Scotland, the Queen's Park at home.
Like I said to you before we came live, Rangers are very good at this, and they have been over the last few months. Lure us into a false sense of security. They seem to get a bit of consistency. They seem to be winning games quite comfortably, scoring a lot of goals, things we haven't seen. And here we are again. We're facing a really, really bad defeat. And it's not only a bad defeat, it's like you said, it's the last chance of silverware for our season. What have we got to play for now? In my eyes, Europe. We do so well in Europe. We do so well against bigger teams in the league. And then these mediocre teams, and no disrespect to Queen's Park, they set up, they had a game plan, they executed it from first whistle. But where's the goals gone? Where's the confidence gone? How can you be banging in goals left, right, and centre, and then end up not being confident to take a shot? Eggman was in a few positions today where he could have taken a shot. Same with the rest of them. I just don't have anything else more to say. It's just first 30 minutes, Eggman played every single position but striker. You saw him at centre back, midfield. He was trying to get into the game again because Queen's Park are sitting back, but just no intensity. We were trying to create stuff, and we were just being too optimistic about it. Hadji was unlucky not to find Tav, but the only option that we had was playing it over the top, and it just wasn't working.
Queen's Park, apart from the goalkeeper, done almost nothing, Kenny. One attack all game. Well, that's all you need against Rangers.
Yeah, this has got to be a struggle for me, boys, because I sat and watched that and said most of the thing on there. But there's a team that's sitting fifth in the league, 20 points behind the leaders of that league, have just showed us how to smother us and put us to the sword. So they basically showed your Hearts, who's next up, and all these teams, what you really need to do if you want to take the spark out of us. It's got to fall, not solely, but a large percentage on the manager now. We've no trophies. We're how many points? 13 odd in the league. We're just a shadow. And as you're rightly saying, Ian, see, at the end of the day, they always lead us down this path, and then we get excited about a bit of a run, and then completely and utterly tear us to shreds. And seriously, and I know there'll be Celtic fans, rightly so, because we would be the same, digging into us about it. But it's farcical now. We don't want to turn into the Man Uniteds anymore. We're through. We're finished. It should be fighting for titles, not the titles done and no trophies by, as you were saying, Martin, February. So it has to fall somewhere. And unfortunately, the money has been spent, as you corrected me, Martin. You're right. When you read through it, your Diamandis and your Baramis and all that, it has to fall at the manager now. We have to get a change, some sort of change, a new ideas, harder to beat, a bit of an identity, and just take it forward, because it's not funny anymore. It's now, if you watched that, you thought that was a first division game. You thought the best team or a top team in the first division was playing the middle of the table, and the middle of the table got a result against them. That's no Rangers. And we've not been Rangers for a very, very long time. And now I'm fed up saying, but we've had a good run in Europe and we've done well for 3 games in a row. Nah, the statistics are showing you, if you read them, that we're really far off it. And I think Clement's really out his depth with this goldfish bowl that is Scotland. And we need somebody who has a little bit more about them to take that on their shoulders and probably know what the game's like here. I'm not going to start name dropping, but all I'm going to say is it has to change, because we've went through enough now.
I said about a week and a half ago, Aaron, that moving forward, I still don't think Clement's the right man. But the way that the board want to approach it, the way that they want to go about it, I'll certainly support, as all of the Rangers fans will. You'll support whoever's in the dugout, even if you don't think they're the right guy for the job, until such times as he's no longer there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people were saying, well, I mean, how can you say that about Clement? Look at what we're doing. Look at this. Look at that. Today, Aaron, and we'll come to the players, because the players don't get away with this. We'll come to the players, but I'm starting with the manager. This is the reason. Today's the reason why it's so blatantly obvious that Clement should no longer be our manager.
Yep.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He started every game that we've played well so far with Dessers and Ugaman up front, and today he decides, for whatever reason, to put Ugaman in his unfavoured position, which is the lone striker, or even out wide at times. And it just didn't make sense. You saw players that, like Hadji, was trying his best. Probably one of the only players on that pitch today that tried. And even when he was trying, it just wasn't good enough, because what was around him just wasn't matching his efforts. So you've got player. I'm speechless. Barami is missing all the time. Tierney didn't have his greatest game. And one thing I will say, and this was touched on by Kenny and Alex in the watch along, we should have played with that intensity that we played with that last 5 minutes all the way through. If we could do it for the last 5 minutes, why on earth could we not do it from the first whistle? There's just no excuse for that. Diagonal passing, playing against a team, yes, they sat back. Yes, it was whoever. It doesn't matter what badge is on that shirt. We should play the way we have played the last few weeks. So, like I said to you, the question I want to ask you is where do you think the confidence has gone? How can so many players have their heads down after having them up and performing well time and time again and consistently? You're excited to see players like Hadji coming back into it, Tierney finding his form again. I'm not Tierney's biggest fan, because he has games like this and he does go missing, but everyone does. But there was just no spark. There was just no one there to make something happen. And when they did, the final third, time and time again, no quality going forward in that final third.
I mean, their goalkeeper, Kenny, had a really good game. He was excellent, deservedly man of the match. And look, he made 2, maybe off the top of my head, 3, barring the penalty. 2, maybe 3 really good saves. But he didn't put them under anywhere near as much pressure as what we should have. And Aaron's absolutely spot on there. And I know that you and Alex said this in the watch along about that last 5 minutes, the intensity, when there's only 5 minutes to go. We were so slow, so ponderous throughout the full game. It was almost as if the manager says to them, it's only Queen's Park, boys. Go out, have a kick about. You'll score a couple of goals. Don't get injured. Don't take it too far, and we'll come back and we'll be fine. There was no intensity in that game whatsoever. Is that the manager, Kenny, or is that the players?
Both. I honestly believe you could have played Curtis and Rice and still should have done them. 100%.
Our B team, Kenny. Sorry, I'm raging. Our B team, the game that I was at against this Queen's Park team, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not played them off the park, but gave them a right good game. We're probably the better team, and then Insiala punched somebody, gets sent off or whatever, right, and then Queen's Park ran over the top of them. Our B team put in a better fight against this Queen's Park team than what our first team did.
You can't actually pick just the one player as well. I think collectively they were all off it. The movement off the ball was terrible. When somebody had the ball and tried to make any sort of a run, which wasn't a lot, there was nobody moving into positions. I do believe that Hadji was trying to do things more than a lot of the other players. So when I saw him going off, I was quite disappointed because I thought, you can't have any creative player leave that field. Substitutions were really strange for me, especially where he put them. And as you say, Martin, I think earlier on at half time, we got worse with the substitutions where he put them. It wasn't the correct places. It was really hurting us at the time. I'm disappointed in the substitutions and the players, so it's both for me, to your question. And how many times have we said that? They would just keep doing this. They would go through 3 and 4 and 5 games of good times, and then ultimately the time we really need it to be a good game, it's crass, and we end up either out of cup or losing leagues or whatever. I'm just dejected, man. I think the full game was terrible, from start to finish, including management and player.
Yeah, I mean, that's putting it nicely, Kenny, to be honest.
Trying.
The substitutions are in Kerry's spot on half time. I mean, I've the way the first half went, I've no objection to Dessers coming on for the second half. I don't see why also then at the same time has to pull Bailey Rice. I know hindsight's 2020, it's fantastic, it's phenomenal. He brings off Bailey Rice and we get worse in the middle of the park.
Yeah, we do, and we were looking strong. If there was one place in the park that first half that we were looking the strongest, it was the midfield. So why change the midfield? You needed to bring on someone. I would have brought on Curtis at halftime. Someone that just proved something. He's just signed a contract extension. He's sitting on the bench waiting for his chance. And players like that will give you their all. And we didn't see that from any other player on the pitch today. There were 6 players around the Queen's Park player when he took his goal. There were 6 players just standing watching it. I'm surprised they didn't just turn around and applaud it, because they might as well have. They just stood there looking at it like deers in the headlights. And I said that if we don't take our chances, they are going to nick one. And I said that in the watch along. And look what happened. Time and time again, we fail in the final third. And we had ample opportunity today. Yes, okay, their keeper had a good save, but he didn't save them all. Diomandi's in the first half. That just a bit of composure and taking that touch. It was an empty net. Do you know what I mean? It's what excuses anymore? Do we blame the players? I don't think it is really the players, because we've seen what the players can do the last few weeks. The manager just decides on games that he doesn't feel that we need to compete. We need to compete against everyone. That is a wrong mentality. To come out and say before that game we need to respect the opposition and then put a team out like he did today, set up the way he did today. It just didn't work. He just contradicts himself in every position possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm dropping stuff and everything now. I'm not in a good place. I'm not going to lie to you folks. I'm not in a good place. In terms of that front three, Kenny, and even if you want to add Diomandi into that, no, the movement wasn't great. There was no real patterns of play that I could see. I wasn't sure. It was almost as if when Cherny get the ball, or Bayrami get the ball, or Hadji get the ball, it was like, I'll figure out what I'm doing once I've got it and once I've had a look up, and nobody's moving. Absolutely nobody's moving. Igaman again was trying, but was poor. We can't keep defending him. He was poor. There was zero movement. And see, even when we did get into positions, Kenny, and this is when it's not on the manager, this is when it switches to the players. Simple passes, and we could have scored at least 2 or 3 goals in that first half. But just simple passes in the final third.
I think we said in the watch along that if we got the ball in the net, it would completely change the game. The longer it went, you've seen the kind of scattiness coming into players, and then going back and reverting back to the sideaway passing and the back passing and running out ideas. There was 100 chances, man, that they just, honestly, it was the wrong decision at the very critical moment. There's one that stands out, or 2 in my head. The one where they cut to the byline and it was right for Igaman to put in, or the one that came over the top and Bayrami tries to score by header at the most awkward angle possible when Hadji's standing on the penalty area free, and it hesitates with a nod down with the head. There was loads of them. You could wait till you dissect it when you see it again, because obviously the frustration and the anger, you can't think everything now, but when you start to dissect it, it's pretty poor, the decision making. You're right, Martin. it comes to the players a lot. But when you're making decisions for substitutions like that, Bailey Rice wasn't really doing anything wrong. The middle of the park wasn't really doing anything wrong. Wing play and striking was all the problems. The decision making in the last third was the problems. So the substitutions for me were very weird. You could have moved Hadji, you could have put Barami out in the left, moved Hadji into the middle a wee bit more, trying to get some creativity in the pocket. It never came. We started doing the same things again. There was a comment there, by the way, that said that if you keep doing the same mistakes, how are you expecting the same outcome? A different outcome, sorry. And that's exactly it in a nutshell, this game. I don't know what else to say, but it's time for a change. It is. It's just, I know it sounds, do you know something is becoming that thing that Rangers are saying all the time, Rangers fans, and, you know, we need to change it again, we need to change it again. If we don't change it from the top down, then we're in trouble, because it's a load of mistakes that's coming from top to bottom, all the way through to the management and the coaching. And the players, some of them have hid today, and again through the management under the bus as well. So it's a collective, Martin, and it's annoying. I don't know what you think.
I think it's the 9th of February and we're out of everything in Scotland.
That's drastic. It's drastic.
It's the 9th of February.
How many times do we give this manager a chance? But because we always see these things and we get stats and that, and then it's always he's saved again, saved again, saved again. I don't know.
No, but you know, we can sit here and we can say that it's partly the board's fault. It's partly the people that the board have hired, which makes it their fault. It's the people that they've hired, their fault. It's the manager, their fault. It's the players, their fault. We can come right down the line, Aaron. I'm sorry, the players that we have out on that park should be good enough to beat Queen's Park. That the fact that we didn't beat Queen's Park today, for me, is not a board issue, although they've got a hell of a lot to answer for, right? I know they're trying to change it by bringing in Patrick Stewart and promoting Nils Coppin and stuff like that, but they've got a lot to answer for, right? Your scouting department at Rangers has got so much to answer for. Diamandi, $4.5 million, Bayrami, $4 million, Cortez, $4 million. Just don't even get me started on that, because we'll be here all night, right? But Clement and those players, Clement's won league titles in Belgium, right? Some of those players have won a league title at Rangers and they've won Scottish Cups. How on earth, Aaron, is that team not good enough to go to Ibrox and beat Queen's Park? How on earth is that team not motivated enough? The fact that we're out the league, we get beaten in a League Cup final, and we've done well in Europe. How are they not motivated to go, see in the first half, let's blow this Queen's Park team away, and then we can settle down and we'll go on and we'll win this Scottish Cup, and we'll give the fans something to shout and cheer for. We'll give the fans something because we owe them something. Do the players just not care?
I think it's just because it was a realistic competition that we could have won. We could have gone on and won that. And you saw it last time at Fraserburgh as well. That first half, we just didn't get started. You know, we didn't come into play until the second half. So I think the question is that we've seen these players be good enough to compete in Europe. We've seen these players compete with the best, beat the best, draw with the best. So why can't they do that with Queen's Park? What is it about the pressures of Scottish football that they just can't step up to? Because we could have breezed that game. And as I said to you before, you know, before the watch along, it was 4-5-0, the score predictions. But they went out there, and I think maybe they had that mentality too, which is completely the wrong mentality to have. Because if you expect to turn up and have easy work and make easy meat of any team, then that's a mentality issue. You should never have that. Doesn't matter who it is. And you saw it a little bit, like I say, with Fraserburgh. The minute they started coming forward, they thought, whoa, wait a minute here, we've got a game. And yes, it was comfortable in the end, but you can't do that. And like you said, they'll probably beat Hearts next week and everyone will be like, oh, Clement, you know, I've said it, Clement should have been gone for me. See, before even the Celtic game, he should have been gone. That for me, that was it. Patrick Stewart's first job should have been get rid of Clement and start a proper rebuild instead of luring us into false insecurity time and time again. The players aren't playing for the badge. Then they turn up and play for the badge. It's just so inconsistent. The mentality issue within that team, from the board right down to the players, is the problem here. And I don't know how to sort it. I don't know. There's no quick fix. You know, it's so frustrating. So frustrating.
Do you know what the sad thing is? I was really looking forward to this game because it had actually felt, you know, the January window had ended, and you know, we'd started to do really well, Kenny. We'd get into the top 8 of the Europa League. And this was the kind of first week where we hadn't really seen Rangers midweek. And it got to this game of day, and I went, this is an opportunity for us to get a couple of young players in, get them some experience, go and score a few goals, send the fans home happy, and build. Well, this today, Kenny, has just set us back forever. There's no other way to put it. No matter what we do now in the league, no matter what we do, see if we go to Tynecastle and win 10-0, it makes no difference. It means nothing.
I'm the same. I think that we've been here before far too many times where we sugarcoat it, and as you say, Aaron, we end up looking over our shoulder and say, but we beat Hearts, Clermont, this and that. Substitute, all the substitutes on our bench could have bet Queen's Park. So I'm landing it heavy at the players with no heart, passion, imagination. It's nothing new that teams come and play defensively against Rangers. But for the last good few weeks, we've been breaking them down. And there was a comment there about the USG game. I agree with that. You could start to see the frailties again. And we really hung on at the end. But see the day, they players are good enough, and they're in an elite league compared to Queen's Park for a reason. They should have been out there and been 2-0 up easy before half time, and then just done the normal thing and brought the youth on and played about and all that. But we decided to make it that hard for ourselves, and Clermont get out tacticked by a coach in a hell of a lower division, and Callum played that a blinder. He smothered the life out the Rangers, and the next minute they had no idea. He had no plan B. The players started panicking. The longer it went on, it was like an amalgamation. It just all came together exactly, I think, how Callum would have hoped, because he smothered the life out of them and waited till they started panicking. They couldn't get the ball in the net. They were running out of ideas. They looked to the manager for maybe a change, but we didn't have the bench to change. And then when he did change, the substitutions were absolutely mental. And then it all started unravelling. And as Aaron said, we waited until, 3-4 minutes before the end, started switching on. Do you know why they switched on? The fear of the aftermath. That shouldn't be it. It should be getting out there for the first 5 to 10 minutes with the hunger, drive and determination to realise you're in a cup that we really need, to say that we're progressing still. But we showed we are not. We got a few good games, few bad, few good games. Sorry, you don't win leagues and trophies like that, guys. You don't.
No, and fighting, or whatever it is. Fish 990 is right. We spent champagne money on bottles of Frosty Jacks.
So I'm laughing. That's a brilliant statement.
That is the perfect analogy. Now I'm going to apologise to everybody because I'm going to play this, and he's only going to like it. He's only going to be happy. I've not heard it, but I can only imagine what's been said. Clermont spoke to Premier Sports after that, and let's hear what he's going to say.
Manager wants to be on the receiving end of a cup upset. How do you sum that one up today?
Super frustrating. First half, too low tempo. We had the chances to come in front. You dominate all the game also. Second half, we raise our tempo. We have today the most chances we had this season with 30 chances, but no goals, even a penalty not scoring. And you get one shot on target and you receive the goal. So it's a hold-up, but we should have scored more goals. And at the end, it's about that, and you're out of the cup. So it's a super frustrating evening.
Yeah, certainly watching you on the touchline. In the first half, you were looking for much more from your players by the looks of it. And then in the second half, you were looking for the complete opposite, some composure and some calmness. Was it frustrating for you that you just didn't see that middle ground that you needed today?
Yes, because it's indeed what you said. First half, not enough tempo. Still the chances and no composure enough in those chances and in the last pass. And in the second half, too much rush. Also the chances, because 30 chances in a game, that's a lot. Or 30 shots towards goal, it's a lot. 12 on target, it's a lot. But not enough quality to score the goals. And also goalkeeper on the other end who played a marvellous game.
Talk us through some of the substitutions that you made, some of them perhaps quite defensive when it was still 0-0. What was the thinking, the changes that you made at half-time and early in that second half?
I don't think it's defensive if you take an offensive midfielder out and you put a striker in. So I don't really understand the question.
You take an attacking midfielder out.
Did you think that the changes would have given you something that you were clearly looking for, that the players then just could not deliver. I think there was certainly a sense when you took Rice off and then Yilmaz was going on that perhaps there was a question from some fans, particularly around why you made those substitutions.
Yeah, Yilmaz played really good games as a left winger, and he will play left winger also in moments. This was not a moment to put a young boy, and that was the other alternative of 18-year-old, to put in that kind of game now with that pressure on. So that was the changes for now with the wingers we have in the squad.
What have you said to the players in there? What's the mood like in the dressing room after that?
They're all down, and it should be. So it's unacceptable to lose this. They all know that. So they built credit back the last weeks, the last months with the fan. Today, they lost everything. Of that credit, this is not acceptable to lose against Queen's Park in the cup. That was probably the rush that there was in the second half, but you need composure in these moments and you need overview. We came so many times in and around the box. We had so many times the possibility for the shot, but we were not calm enough, and that hurts us. That because of that, we're out of the cup.
Given the gap in the league, obviously losing the League Cup final and now out of the Scottish Cup, can a Rangers manager survive potentially ending a season without a trophy?
It happened several times in the past. We know it's a rebuild. I'm focused on this game, on the next game. I don't think you can ask much more than to get 30 chances, and nothing to do with tactics or whatever. It's about the quality of the moment, and that we missed today.
So you're confident as Rangers manager in your position at the moment after that?
Yes, I'm confident about that. Everybody knows how hard everybody's working together. So last week, everybody was saying that the team is taking good steps and growing, and great 8th position in the Europa League. It's not because you lose a game where you normally have to win 99 out of 100. That things change about the way things are working. If you do that, then you're only living in emotions, and then there will never be stability in this club.
Wow.
Thanks, Philippe.
Wow.
So
living in emotions.
So it doesn't matter, Kenny. It really doesn't matter because it's a rebuild. Doesn't matter.
No. This guy is just, I don't know, I'm beyond angry at some of the ways that he just kind of floats over the enormity of what's just happened and confidently stating that it's happened in the past, saved my job, no bother. Listen, we're all on, you're talking about emotion, the emotional roller coaster we've been under since the people that make the decisions and his management has caused has been ridiculous. He's deluded if he's thinking that this is normal. The amount of times he saved his job, somebody said it there, by the way, the Celtic job's the only thing that saved him. It really did, and now we're stuck.
The Celtic win, Kenny. The Celtic win.
Eh? Aye, sorry,
win.
the Celtic win, yeah. And this is the problem. We've put our marker down, we've trusted him, and we've went for it, and it's not really changed any. You get 3 or 4 good games, and then a draw, then a bad game, then this. Where do we go for here if you're not going to pay him off? Because you're going to have to wait till summer. We've already got no trophy. The league's by, and as you said, Martin, how long do we leave this for Celtic to just keep going? Do you want another 10? Is that what you're looking for? Because I'm damn sure I'm not putting up with that. I'm looking for a captain, right, to drag us out the mud in games like that, or any couple of players who can play the ball about, show intensity, drag players that, never mind the manager. If you're on that bloody park and you're playing against a team like that and you know you're up against it, where are yous? Where is these players? You know what I mean? Your James Tavernier's never going to do it, right? And I'm not having a go at him, just meaning he's not got the personality to pull a full team out by himself. But we used to have 3 and 4 players that would do it. If one wasn't doing it, another one would do it. All the way through the 90s, all the way through 2000s, we had those players to do it. We've got nobody we're hiring with that type of personality to play for Rangers in a goldfish bowl scenario in a league. Genuinely, who wins it or finishes second of 2 clubs where you're watched on every single game you go to win. You can't just buy players because you think they're a progress or anything like that. You've got to see if their mentality's right. If it's a type of person that can take the pressure that's coming for you drawing and getting a loss even That's it. A draw and a loss in the 2 years. It's ridiculous, the attitude in the players. It's ridiculous. And see if you've got a half-wit like that talking to you in a dressing room at half-time. Honestly, you're waiting for somebody to go in and motivate you. If you're in the doldrums, you want somebody to come in and you go, right, okay, boss, let's go out and do it. Let's go for it. You know, you're not going to get that in there. They've come back out and it's the same drab again. So for me, finished. Has to be new. Has to be changed.
Did he just go on to that interview and use the fact that we had 28 shots on target and didn't score a single goal, the only positive that he took out of that? Also, where's the emotion? Where's the emotion gone? He was angry a few weeks ago. If you've got an excuse to be angry, it's now. If you see what the manager is made of at a result like this today, and he comes out and he's 28 shots on target. They only had one. We stopped them. Yeah, but that doesn't matter. That does not matter. The scoreline matters. The fact we're out the Scottish Cup matters. And for him to turn around and say, of course, yeah, I'm safe. Told you that. I'm safe. Well, why? What has he got on the board that we don't know about? Because any manager to come out and go, yes, absolutely, under this scrutiny, he's gone. He is gone. We're back to square one. If he's using the rebuild excuse again, we're straight back to square one. We're where we were before Christmas when he used the same sentence of this is a rebuild. How many months is a rebuild? How many years is a rebuild? He's had January. You know, I mean, where's the rebuild? What? I just don't see the way forward.
And I seen I think it was Penna Cartel on Twitter who made the point, Kenny. And he said, you know what? Not that this would ever be acceptable, but it would be slightly more palatable, right? If we seen a style of play, if we seen intricate bits of passing for the players and it was just an off day, right? Now, we've been talking about this basically since Clement came in. I don't know what his style of football is. I don't know what he's asking these players to do. But to come out in a post-match and say, yeah, my job's safe. Yeah, it's a rebuild. If anybody thinks any different, then this football club's not going to get any better. No, Kenny, the football club's not going to get any better as long as he's in situ as our manager. How many times, Kenny, right? How many times can we keep having every couple of months the same conversation about Philip Clement?
We can't, and I'll tell you, I know that a lot of guys are putting on it's down to the players. It is, but see if you're in a gritty, tough game, right? Take Queen's Park out it. Any game that you need to dig deep and it's really struggling, the fans are on your back. The guy was right, the other one there. You got to have the motivation for the manager first and your captain second in the dressing room and then out in the park. We haven't got that. And then you marry that with substitutions that are absolutely hairball. And then a comment in interviews like that. Can you imagine Walter Smith did an interview there? He'd be dying to get away. He'd be like, right, is that us? You finished? Aye. Well, you know what happened. Look at the state of that, right? Are we gone? We're ready to go now. He would be, he's not interested in his today's media. But see that monotone, delusional, I'll just maybe say things and get away with it. We've developed this bubble where he feels so bloody safe.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't watch what we're doing here, we could absolutely end up miles behind that other team. Miles. And it's our fault. It's our fault. And we're watching it. And we seem as if the board have managed to see when the Bears walked out, right? And we ended up half as offside and then we're booing them and all this. See the board loved that. Absolutely loved it. Divided and conquered, job done, cracking. So what we'll do is now we'll just kind of do what we want and we know that we'll get put up with it. Well, I'll remember everybody watching and the Rangers fans that are season ticket holders and the diehards that we all are. Your season tickets are due for renewal, right? So the last year, they waited till we bought them, then changed the goalposts. So just let's keep that in mind before you start running out. And I know people are saying, I'm not getting on my season ticket. But listen, we moaned, we don't day walking away. Celtic day walking away. Aye, Celtic didn't end up getting that liquidation. Celtic kicked it off, so the board went out in their arse and got something invested and reimagined it. So we can keep playing this hamster wheel or we can do something about it. I'm just saying, we're coming up to the end of the season. If we're keeping doing this, we as fans need to stand up because this is madness. Absolute madness. No, the Rangers, I know.
Celtic kicked off and then the following season spent a good few quid on players and then won the league. That was their rebuild. Their rebuild took 6 weeks at the start of the season when we were all laughing and joking and shouting about Ange, going, "Oh, look at us, we're so far ahead. Oh, they're rubbish. We're going to win the next 2 leagues." Took them 6 weeks to get their act together. And then they went on and won the league and just basically went on and won everything. We're now into February. We're now into February.
Can I say to you, Paul? See, when we bet Celtic, you said we destroyed them, right? So you're no a million miles away as far as we think. See, all this thing, we're massive miles away from them. Listen, see if you bought well and you got the right mentality, you're probably a season after them. Seriously, it's not crazy. It's just we keep making the bad decisions all the time. We've got the wrong mentality running the dressing room, from captain to manager, unfortunately, and we've made poor decisions on personnel. That's why we're shaky.
And that question as well, by the way, Aaron, and I'll let you come back in a wee second. Fair play to the woman asking the questions, because they were decent questions that she was asking. You don't usually get that. But when she asked me about making the defensive changes, I don't understand what you're talking about. You brought on a left back to play left wing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he's got a young winger there who wants to prove himself, who's already played Queen's Park, who played well against Queen's Park for the B team, sitting on the bench. So he did make a defensive substitution. It wasn't a proactive substitution. It was completely defensive. And I'm sorry, Ridvan play well at left wing. He my headpiece, man.
Honestly.
If a reporter's going to ask him that questions and she can notice what we saw, how can he not see it? I'm going back to what you were saying about being miles behind them. No, we haven't. They've dropped so much points this season. And the only saving grace for them is we do things like this. We would be a lot closer if we could just get consistency. I just can't. The mystery remains for me is it's just mentality. You can't get confidence. You can't build up daily duos like Diomande and Raskin in the middle of the park playing well together. And then you've got Nsiala playing together with Suter. And then you've got Dessers and Igaman playing well up front. And then you think, oh, it's working too well. How can we change this? You know, don't fix something that isn't broken. And he does that time and time again. And guess what happens when he does it? We're sat here every time. And that was our best team as well. There's no excuse. We didn't say, oh, we had a lot of young on there. You know, if we'd lost against Fraser, but it would have been, oh, Munn was in goals and Lovelace was playing and Rice and Curtis. But there was none of that today. This was meant to be our best team. Maybe, you know, take Proper and Fernandez out. But there's no excuse. There's no excuse for this today. And you have to accept that. Unfortunately, we're in a position now where we just have to accept that. And it's up to Rangers to decide what happens next. And Patrick Stewart needs to grab a hold of his cojones and say, Clement, this isn't good enough. You have to go. He touched on the fact Clement's safe, but we need to get our away results better. Well, we also need to...
it needs to improve. Things need to improve.
Yeah, but it's not improving. I can't see any improvement. We have been so lucky against teams in the last couple of weeks. Yes, we've got wins. But playing like this against quality opposition, we are going to get punished. And we're starting to play like this against mediocre teams and getting punished. So when will the lessons be learned? There's got to be a learning curve here.
Oh, listen, please don't say we need to learn lessons. We've been saying that for 4 years. Please don't bring that up. Right, I'm going to get to some of these super chats. There's quite a lot of flown in. I'm not going to bring Tam's up for his name and for certain things, but what Tam's saying is, everybody watching, please do press the like button. Also, Clement out. That's what Tam wants, and thank you for the super chat, Tam, my friend. So yeah, please do like and subscribe and share. We've got loads of content on the channel, and because of the way that Rangers are going, we're going to need all the support we can get to keep this channel going. Because Rangers might just be the end of this channel. James Cameron, Kenny, then I didn't want to bring this up, but I've no other choice. The lasting legacy of this board will be that we are no longer the most successful club in the world. Let that sink in, Kenny.
Well, I was sitting there thinking while Aaron was talking there about how all the hard work that happened when Dave King walked in, promised all the things, done his promises, pulled Gerrard in after 3 years, won a league, had a really, really strong foundation built. He'd done what he said he was going to do. He thought he'd left it in safe hands. And as soon as his arse was at the door, Gerrard's asking for players and getting them and blah blah blah. And then we saw the wheels starting to shiggle off again. So the board is 100% to blame for me. A way back for you. Listen, I'm not backing Clement, right? I'm just saying that they promised the kitty. I know he spent money on players and stuff like that, but it's the same. I think Ian said that there. It's the same old story that they're churning out to us, and we're swallowing it. They are very, very much to blame for a lot of the decision making above management level, football management level, that is absolutely destroying us. And they've allowed Celtic to catch us and crawl us back with league titles when we were miles in front. And it's just really hard to look at them sitting in the director's box, especially one of them. I'll tell you now. And we all know who that is.
Is his name similar to my surname?
Yes.
Right.
And that is happening, sitting there taking, I mean, it came out, it was 113,000 a month that boy was getting, the third director, whatever his name was, getting gardening leave. So what is that man getting every month? And you're wondering why doesn't he want to sell up? It's an abomination what's happening up there. It's politicians running the club. It's no football men. Say what you want about David Murray. Say what you want. Made a mistake. Aye, that's right. But every club was doing what they were doing back then. But at least he had Rangers in his heart, and it was getting played. Soon as said it in an interview, the director says to him, "Our job is to put the best possible players into that park, and my job is to run the club to get the money to do that." Could you imagine any of the board members saying that about this Rangers team? They are out for themselves. They are not out for us as Rangers fans, guys. They're out for themselves. So take Clement out of it, because whatever manager you put in there, you better hope he's Harry Houdini, because it'll be all these different games getting played again and money coming in, money going missing, and then you can't get that now. I know you tell you could get it in January, but you're not getting it now. That's all that story that Ian's talking about. Unless that changes, this is going to be normal. So we need to really think how we get this changed.
Maybe that's the one thing saving Clement. Maybe that's the one thing saving Clement. He doesn't care what the board says. He'll be like, "I'll just go with yous then. Let's just do it." Maybe that's it. Maybe they don't want a manager to be demanding better players or demanding help. He's just quite happy to sit there in his delusional wee made-up world that everything's grand.
I agree with you. Honestly, I do.
You know,
I honestly couldn't agree with you more about the fact that there's a yes man there, and they proved it with the walkout and all the rest of it. And the board will be sitting up their hands and saying, "Right, we've got time here again." But every time we give them time, they're ripping thousands out of us and we get nothing back. You know, it's a football club. We're here to win things, trophies and stuff. Yes, I know it gets run as a business upstairs, but when you boil it down, strip it back, it's about fans and football and winning trophies and all that. It's not about yous lining your pockets and trying to. I mean, these big businessmen that's up in our club, right? How many of them have brought billionaire investors in that have absolutely set us alight? What have they done that's really turned us upside down for the better?
Advertise their car garages.
Of course they have, right? So that's what we're getting out of this. We've started to see that they're not caring about us, boys. They don't care about us. So why are we caring about them? And I do agree that there's something needed done. I'm not the man to know how to go about that. There'll be a lot smarter people watching this that will have great ideas that are really, truly good. But unless Ian was right, bang on, and so are you, Aaron, unless you change it for up there now, we're not going to get the type of managers and funding that we've got to make a successful team on the park and move everything forward. That's just the way it is.
No, absolutely not. You're saying
Aaron, sorry, Aaron. Can I just say Clement has said in another interview he will not resign, and that there is a way back with good results.
Yeah, well, but today it should have been a start today. You should start today. Do you know what I mean? Come out after a win and say that, because then you've got something to back it up. Don't come out after one of the. I don't know. I can't even remember the last time there was a shock like this in the Scottish Cup. You know, it's like, don't come out and try and play that card. But players, the worry for me and what I was going to say there is players like Igaman are starting to lose confidence. You know, he's not been at it the last few games, and that's probably one of our biggest assets. Igaman has been full fire, full force, and then Dessers has come in. And he's looked a bit shaky when Dessers came in. He didn't feel so comfortable as he was with Danilo. So for Igaman not to be hitting a couple of opportunities today, first time, shows to me that he's dropped in confidence somewhere along the line. And it's the manager's job, and this is the manager's job. You can't say the board, you can't say the other players, maybe Tav. It's their job to pick him up and give him a wee shake and say, "What's wrong? How can we help?" You know, is there something that we can do or work on it in training? But then all of a sudden he's just gone on this slump. And I don't think it's fair for us to ignore that because we know the quality that is in there. Yes, he does good touches and stuff, but today's a good example. He would have been better played in midfield where he spent half the first half trying to get touches of the ball and trying to make something happen. And when you leave it up to one player to try and make everything happen, they drop because they realise they can't. And then they start questioning themselves. So he's in a vicious cycle right now, and we do not need that. We need players to make us profit come the summer. Because this rebuild, we need players in.
I'm
that are
fed
gonna
up.
play for the badge. I know.
I'm fed up
It's
hearing the
ridiculous.
rebuild.
I
Well,
mean,
we
we
need-
need
Sorry, can I ask you to you something? Remember, Souness said that it wasn't his pick. Remember? Now,
Mhm.
do you think Kevin Muscat's more like Ange and wouldn't have put up with the board's crap about telling him he's getting money and then he's no? So the yes man was hired rather than the man who would have probably demanded more out the board and got us probably better in the league.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Kenny. I think we've just finally realised what it is about Clement that the board has over him. He's their puppet. And he's quite happy to be the face of the disaster that's happening right in
Now
front of
a
us.
new contract, eh?
Yeah, he's quite happy. Give him another year. Well, let's keep going because he's got to take the slack. We don't. But when a manager, like you say, comes in and says, I want this, I expect this, or I'm not signing. Rangers is not the most appealing club to come into right now. So even if Clement does go, who's next? Who wants to come in next? Who wants to take on that responsibility? Who wants not to be backed? Who wants
Do you
to...
want to know how bad it is? Do you want to know how bad it is? Right? We are in that bad a position that Brendan Rodgers came into Celtic the first time because he knew that there was no way he wasn't going to win the league. He knew there was absolutely zero chance of him not winning the league. Right? So he came in, won everything at Celtic, and then he got himself a job back down south because he got his name back up there. Right? He then failed down south, practically relegated Leicester, and then he thought to himself, and he looked at Scotland again, and he went, see if I go back in there, I'm going to win everything again. And I can go back to England again as soon as I've won everything. See any managers that are maybe at Brendan Rodgers' level, because he's a very good manager. We can't sit here and say he's not, right? He is a very good manager. No manager at his level is looking at Rangers and going, I'm not risking my career going to that club. No chance. No chance. We are not getting that level of manager. Not a hope in hell.
No.
We need a luck of an Ange to come in. And I'm just
Mhm.
comparing it to Celtic, right? But we need the luck of an Ange to come in who's going to light a fire under the players and has a specific way of playing in Scotland that works. That's what we need.
Yep.
But I'll go back because the super chats have come in thick and fast. Kenny Charles, thank you, Charles, my friend. Your bread and butter, league and cups, is gone. Europe is a bonus. No improvement after today. He's got to go.
Yep. I'm agreeing with that and what you're saying. So, yes, has to go. Who do you bring in and what kitty do they get or whatever else? So, we're in a very precarious position right now and we're at a transition of what do we do and how do we do it, because I firmly believe that we need some sort of manager that knows what's expected in this league and no takes decisions on playing or taking games lightly, let's say, and getting it wrong. There was a couple of ones with St Mirren where he didn't play a lot of the team because he thought he would just get through that, and then they ended up drawing. Or it was a draw, they were up 2-0. I just think that if you're not going to throw everything at any of the leagues and then you're not in the league, right, which we've not been a while, you've got a cup because we've been papped out the other one, you go absolutely all out, blood, sweat and tears, Terry Butcher, blood and heat stuff to make sure you win every game in that cup. Because you know second place is always between third and second. Doesn't matter if you get 6 of the players with broken legs. Second and third's always about 18 points by the end of the season, right? So you know fine well that the Rangers, the Celtic is miles away when it comes to business end. The cup, if you've only got one cup left, you do everything you can. And as you're saying, if you've got young boys sitting on that bench that you should have known played against a Queen's Park and a B team and done all right, you put them on, or you don't fiddle with the wrong part of the park that isn't doing right. Those things are the things that they hang around the manager's neck, or that you've got a captain, right, who, and I'm not hanging it around him, I'm just saying you need somebody that's really up for it when it's a game like that and you're up against it. No, in 91 minutes. 60 odd, you're going, right, I need to drag these players, grab folk by the scruff of the neck, fall out with them if you want, but get a reaction. And we don't have those two. And they're the most important two people in a team when you're up against it. And I never seen any of that. And that's why I'm saying Clement has to be a change. But you can't get another yes man in. You've got to have somebody that's got a bit of balls about them, man. And as you say,
but nobody like that's going to come to Rangers because they won't get past the interview process.
Yeah, of course they won't.
What are you giving me? What are you offering me? Is that exactly what I'm going to get? Because if that's not what I'm going to get once I take the job, I'm going to tell everybody. And I'm going to be right up your ass looking for stuff. And
definitely,
the Rangers board aren't going to hire that person.
Nope. The board won't touch them. The board won't touch them because if they figure out they're not a yes man and they're going to demand, which is exactly what we need to do. That's your job as a board, you half-wits. The manager demands off you. If you've picked him as the right man of the job and he's got a clear vision and philosophy, you back him. It's no, oh, well, we'll give him that much, but then we'll fiddle here because that's going to do away with my profitability margins. Mm-hmm. Seriously? No. The manager's there to get the team winning. If he needs X, Y, and Z, you back him. So for me, it has to go for there, down, out.
But by the way, can I just say, and I know it's just going to rub salt into the wounds, Ryan Hartley scored the winner against Liverpool today, and Nico Katic got man of the match.
Aye, and how well are the other boys playing down in England? Aye, that's right.
Aye, playing quite well, aren't they? By the way, the poll is out. It's had 1,065 votes, and it's a number that you'll all remember. It's yes 55% and no 45% to should Clement be sacked. So we know the exact percentage of people that are watching that aren't Rangers fans. It's 45%. So the yes votes at 55, the no votes at 45. I've definitely heard that somewhere before. Not sure where though. Harry, Aaron, another super chat, and this takes us on to back onto the players. Tavernier accountable at the club since 2015. Last 10, he is sauntering about in second gear, never once dragged the team through the mud at a vital time.
He had one chance to step up today as the captain, take responsibility, and do what we thought he did best. You know, put that penalty away. And the fact that he didn't says a lot about his confidence and where he thinks he is as well. And I saw a comment there saying, what a disaster when we got into the last 8 in Europe. Yeah, well, that's great. But European, we're not expected to progress like we are in the Scottish Cup. We're not expected to fight for leagues like we are in the league. You know, so the pressure's off us in Europe.
Would you take last 8 every year in Europe to be out at every trophy in Scotland by February?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I don't understand. I don't even understand what that comment means.
No, absolutely not. Rangers is built on winning league titles, Scottish Cups, League Cups. They're not built on winning European Cups. You know, we're not Barcelona, where it's expected of us. You know, we need to be competing in the league. But for some reason, we've never really had a good European campaign as well as a good league campaign. So maybe we are prioritising things wrong. And we need to be looking at that ASAP. Because now, as you've said, we're fighting for second. And if we carry on like this, who means to say we'll even get second? I'm not confident.
No, we will. We'll get second. But again, like I say, if we win every game from now until the end of the season in the league, it doesn't mean anything. Because the pressure's off. It doesn't mean anything. It absolutely means nothing. Big Dave, Kenny with a super chat as well. Thank you very much, channel member Big Dave. It's always the same. They go out thinking we will phone this one in, and the opposition turns up and they bottle it, and the gaffer panics. Wash, rinse, repeat, Ken.
There you are. And do you know why? You go out there and you kid on that's a cup final. That's the mentality every game. If you are only in one trophy, it should be mentality anyway, right? But especially if you've only got one trophy to win, that's the only thing that's left. That's every game. You're out there. Your captain's telling them straight, I want to see 2 or 3 before the first half ends. You're dragging players out into the game. We had none of that, mate. We went out there thinking we were going to steamroll them with 30% attitude. And they turned up because it's their cup final already, playing teams like us. And we're taking that for granted, which is a shame for them that we're taking that for granted and they're out there playing it like a cup final. Do you know what I mean? And I take nothing away from them. They had a game plan, they stuck to it and they done it. But the worrying thing for me was they knew if they hold off long enough, they'd get at least 1 or 2 opportunities because we give teams that. we'll give them that wee opportunity, and then our back four, or 3-4, whatever, starts to flap. The Jeffy should never get beat that easy for that boy. And as Alex was saying in the watch along, the guy was on the field like a minute. So it's poor all over the park. But wash, rinse, repeat is a perfect analysis for that.
I mean, it's not the first time, Aaron,
Nope.
that we've seen a Jeffy mistake in defence cost us a goal.
No, and if Chelsea want him for 20 million, take him. You know, I don't see any problems with that. You know what I mean? Just take him, because I think he's overhyped. He does do well going forward, but that reminds me of Tavernier. He reminds me so much like Tavernier. He goes forward, but he can't track back. And when he does track back, he's a ball watcher. He's watching where that ball's going instead of anticipating where it's going. And that is his defensive mistakes. And we saw that today. And we've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, we have. Sorry, these super chats are coming in thick and fast, folks. DJ Kieran McD, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Clement's absolutely deluded, can never admit he got it wrong. Anyway, what's everyone having for a tea tonight? Need suggestions for my own. So that's the point it's got to now, Kenny, that people are just that fed up, and like Big Dave said, it's wash, rinse, repeat, that people are asking for suggestions for a dinner. But his main point that Clement can never just admit he got it wrong.
No, but Belgian waffles, I've had enough of them anyway. Too early.
Yes.
But aye, it's I think every time that we have a semi-poor result, it tells you everything, that we're all sitting here waiting for this super analysis for a manager. And I would be more impressed if he came out and he actually said some sentences that actually made me think and go, actually, wait a minute. I felt as if he had a grasp of the situation and I knew where he was going with it. It's every single time we have any sort of a mishap, if he speaks like that to his players in that dressing room, what chance have we got? Because you can be damn sure your captain's not going to be helping out either. So yeah, I'm just, do you know something? That was in my head there. I'm just absolutely deflated, guys. Ken, that way, just like, wow, you know, are we here again? Great.
Do you know what? It's the first time I've done it. It's the first time I've done it. We'll be sitting here in a couple of months probably saying the same thing, although I don't even know if we will, because like I say, the league games don't matter anymore. All that matters now is making sure we finish second, which is an incredibly ridiculous thing to be saying in February. But we've been saying it for months. Massive super chat from A. Thank you very, very much. Channel member as well for your support. Aaron, players look lazy and entitled. Yep, they did today. Time rolls on, leads to panic, frustration, half-arsey, and eventually failure. If Clement doesn't go, I'm assuming we've been infiltrated. It would explain a lot.
Yeah, there's definitely something, like we said, there's something going on there that we don't know about. For a guy to be so secure after that, I'd be worrying. You know, I'd come out of there greeting, saying, I'm really sorry, I let you down. You know, we'd have so much more respect for him if he did that. They came out lazy, yeah, and entitled, yes, because they had that false sense of security behind them. They had that false sense of confidence, and, you know, everything was going well. So their mentality is, oh, it's on the Queen's Park, let's do it. Let's go out in there and pump them. And as Kenny says, if Clement's going in at half-time saying we've had 15 shots, but we've not scored, then no wonder they're coming out the second half going, oh, well, you know, let's just have more shots then. It's about shots on target all of a sudden. It's embarrassing. It really is.
There's a point for you. See our Rangers years ago, right, under a decent board and decent management. See Lyle Cameron, he'd have been bought. Yeah,
we need players that know the Scottish game as well. Because we've gone away and we've tried to bring in players that have played well in different leagues, but we all know how fast-paced and hard this Scottish league can be. So bringing in a Lyle Cameron, he knows the league. Barron knows the league. You know, players like that know the league. So we need to go for that mentality. Even Derek McInnes knows the league. You know, there's some names being thrown about in the comments. Because who would be your ideal manager to take over? Mine would be somebody who knew the league. Somebody who's been there, established, maybe gone away, but can come back. You know, that's what we need.
And by the way, listen, Aaron, I wasn't saying that he's the answer. I seen somebody saying, sorry to cut you, mate, it's just somebody said that that's not the answer. No. My point is, you wouldn't faff about with this. Oh, we'll get him the new, we'll get him the summer, we'll do it for 300 grand. A difference or whatever. Rangers years ago would have went, give me him. And that'd have been it. If he worked, he didn't work. That wasn't the point of his answer. The point was we were faff about with these transfers, and Celtic are just going to go, give me there's McGowan. We just take him as a side dish. Do you know what I mean? That's where it's starting to get ridiculous. They're buying players that should be stealing the now to rebuild as a side dish as well. Hurry up and just take him. We'll try and develop him. If we can, it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. The Cameron should have been just bought, and then that's it. That's why I know something wrong.
Oh, I'm on mute again. Do you know what? I actually think this makes your point earlier that you said wrong. When you said, a couple of players and we're not that, and you know, if you get a couple of players and you bring them into the squad, then we're maybe not that far behind them. They're in a place where they can pay 1.2 million to Dundee in January and bring that player in who's probably not going to be, he's not going to start that many games, and he might come off the bench and he'll pick up himself a league winners medal, and they'll probably sell him in a couple of years for 2 or 3 million, right? Celtic can do that. Like you've just said, we can't even negotiate 500,000 for Dundee in January. So there is a chasm between the two teams. Maybe not quite on the park. Maybe you can look at the players in the park and you can go, see if we bring in one player here, one player there, one player there, and then the youngsters, maybe we've got something. There's a chasm between the two clubs, Kenny. There's a massive
financially, financially definitely. But when we gave them a scudding on the park, it's potentially there if we try and we get the right person.
If we were level on points for them in the league, but would we have given them a scudding? That's a question that we need answered.
That's a very good question, especially mentality-wise with the players we have, because there's a different type of pressure which we're just talking about, and I totally agree with you. It's an absolute farce what's happening. I just meant the point is, if there's a player that's that price and he's that low and he's in the end of his contract nearly, for God's sake, go and get him. And as Ian just said again there, it shows we've no money. It shows the same story, the same game. They're pulling the wool over our eyes again, guys. Or they would have just took him.
That'll do us, folks. Look, we're back tomorrow at 7:30. I'm going on holiday on Tuesday. This is great, isn't it?
You going to
I wish. I'm only going for 4 days. So thanks, Rangers, for setting me up for a nice wee chilled holiday. Clement's not going anywhere, folks. See if Clement gets sacked. I will be one of the most surprised men in Britain if Clement gets sacked. Like I said, we're back at 7:30 on Sunday night. For members, we'll be back tonight around about 8:30. I'm not sure whether it's going to be a VAR review show or it might just be a Q&A and we'll discuss the manager a bit more. I'm not 100% sure yet. But I've not had a coffee today, so I'm going to go and have a coffee. Thank you to every single person who tuned in. And I mean that, every single person. Thank you very much. Please make sure that you like and subscribe. Check out the Rabo Island store, because the way that Rangers are going, we really, really need your support. And if you're in a position to do so as well, and you enjoy the content and you want more, well, there's loads of members content, folks. Every single day, there's at least 2 shows extra of members content. So check the description for the links for the memberships. You can either go Patreon or YouTube. They offer the same content, just whatever you prefer. Thank you for all the super chats as well. All the support's greatly appreciated. It helps us to keep going. My thanks to Aaron and Kenny as well. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, I suppose, and we shall all speak